barrels of Brent crude have gone up to 119.97 cents a barrel. And those are the highest prices since 2008. And there are warnings that the prices could go up to $220. Joining me now, Vincent Boland, a columnist from the Financial Times. Vincent, thanks very much for waiting so patiently for us down there. Considering that Libya only provides about 2% of the world's oil, why are events there having such an impact globally?
I think it's a mix of panic reaction and speculative reaction, really, among buyers of oil and oil futures. So I think that events in Libya are certainly scaring a good number of people, and and those who value stability in the Middle East and in the oil markets generally are quite scared, I think, by what's happening there now. And also, I guess, speculative investors are also coming in and betting that things might get worse before they get better.
So the basic problem is we don't know. That's the problem. We don't know. So as a result, people are speculating because they're thinking about possible contagion. I know Libya only represents about 2%, but the region, the Middle East, provides 35% of global oil production, doesn't it? And is that
yes.
is that what is going on? People don't know the situation. They don't know how it's going to turn out, so they're betting and they're speculating.
I think that's true, absolutely. I think the oil market is particularly sensitive to political developments. Oil is the ultimate political commodity, and I think it's very sensitive to threats to existing regimes or to production or to anything like that is upsetting the stability of the market. And what you're seeing in Libya in particular is, although it's only a marginal producer, you're seeing colossal instability and an almost complete shutdown of production. And I think that people are worried that this may not be the final domino in this particular scenario.
Indeed, all eyes are on Saudi Arabia, of course, but OPEC has issued a few reassurances. Is that likely? Are those reassurances likely to make any difference? Is anybody listening?
I think that there are two methods of reassuring the markets probably in the immediate future. One is OPEC, certainly. It is the producers group, and they have control over the pumps and they can turn on and off the spigot whenever they want. And I think that OPEC would want stability to be in the market as much as possible. The second linchpin, though, and I think probably the more important one in the longer term, is Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is the only big producer of oil that has spare capacity to produce more, and I think it would be very willing to do so, if things became much more unstable. And it also, of course, is the biggest producer, so it has vast quantities of it. And I think that Saudi Arabia is also particularly concerned about the instability, because after all, Saudi Arabia itself could become a victim. Who knows? So I think that I think the Saudis are the ones to watch.
All right, Vincent, we're going to leave it there. Vincent Boland from the FT, thank you. More news from Europe later this news hour, but for now it's back to Doha.
Good to have you with us, David Foster, bringing you live coverage of events in Libya on this Al Jazeera news hour. The main developments: Muammar Gaddafi's blamed the uprising in his country on the Al-Qaeda leader, Osama bin Laden. He was talking on state television, Gaddafi offering his condolences for those killed in the security forces, and repeated his claim that the protesters are on drugs. Army units and militia loyal to Gaddafi are fighting back against Libyans rising up in towns and cities close to the capital. 10 people reported dead in this place. It's called Az-Zawiya, 50 kilometers west of Tripoli. But former allies continue to abandon the Libyan leader, the latest one of his cousins and closest aides, Ahmed Khadaf al-Dam, who's fled to Cairo. And in fact, worth pointing out that while one of the news agencies was reporting it was 10 dead in Az-Zawiya, that's in Libya, an eyewitness there claimed to us, live on air, that it was more like 100. Now, it's not just events in that country, in Libya, and indeed the others that we've been witnessing some extraordinary scenes in too. It's current events in Yemen. The president there is instructing his security forces to protect the protesters trying to end his 32-year rule. Anti-government demonstrations have been going on there since an uprising against Ali Abdullah Saleh began on February the 16th. Hashem Akhalbara reports from the capital, Sana'a.
Calls for change from the campus. Teachers and students joined forces for the biggest gathering of anti-government protesters in the capital so far. And following the deaths of 2 protesters in previous demonstrations, security forces were under strict orders to ensure the safety of the demonstrators.
We are in one of the main squares of the capital, Sana'a, just outside the university, which has become the focal point of the pro-democracy movement. Now, thousands of students from the university are gathering on a daily basis. They would like to rally the support of everybody here in the capital and across the country to enforce their agenda of change. They would like to see President Ali Abdullah Saleh go.
It's the first time people here in Yemen, from all the parties, from all the institutions, they are coming here to say to this man, go out, nobody wants you here, and we want to live our freedom. We want to be free like others. 33 years are enough.
It's clear the calls for greater democracy are growing, so too are the president's opponents.
I have resigned in response to the revolution of the youth, demanding the fall of the regime and the dissolution of the parliament, which is also part of the regime.
And in Yemen's conservative society, women are also ready to explain their role.
Could you tell us why you're here?
For one demand, that is the demand of everybody in this gathering, is to ask the regime, Ali Abdullah Saleh, to leave the country and to leave the system.
And despite all the threats and the smear campaign by the official media, there is no sign of the opposition weakening. It's a sound that reflects their solid determination to keep on fighting for the end of what they see as an autocratic regime. Hashem Akhalbara, Al Jazeera, Sana'a.
In Bahrain, several thousand people have marched to Pearl Roundabout, which was the scene last week of protests and a government crackdown. They were led by the freed political prisoners who chanted slogans against the government and the royal family. King Hamad visited Saudi Arabia on Wednesday for talks on the unrest, according to Bahrain state media. The former Egyptian information minister has been detained on corruption charges. Anas al-Fiqi was arrested at his Cairo home on Thursday morning. The former state broadcasting chief, Osama al-Sheikh, was also arrested, and both of them have been given travel bans. Other high-ranking officials from Mubarak's regime have also been accused of corruption. Shireen Tadros sent us this from Cairo.
The Egyptian Prosecutor General has had a very busy few days. He's been trying to bring to account those former members of the old regime, as well as any businessmen who may have benefited from the corrupt running of that regime. So Anas al-Fiqi, a very unpopular man, the former information minister, as well as Osama al-Sheikh,